Hello there, Des Kelly here again from GMIT Letterfrack, and welcome along to another of our DCG SolidWorks tutorials. Just before we begin, if you'd like to find out more about what we do in Letterfrack or about the degree programs we offer in furniture design, wood technology or teacher education, then please see our Facebook or Twitter pages. So this is the project we're about to draw. It's an apple, and to complete this project we will need to cover the following: the use of sketch pictures to trace around to give us the shape of the apple. A revolved boss base will be used to generate the solid of the apple. We're going to use splines to draw the actual profile of the curvature of the apple. We're going to need to add reference planes to set up the stem of the apple. We're going to need a dome feature to curve the top of the stem, and we'll also add the relevant material appearances. So let's begin. Now, moving over to SolidWorks, let's open a new part, and in that new part let's begin a new sketch. So select the sketch icon and then select a plane on which to draw. We want to start on the front plane. So if we then go to Tools, Sketch Tools and Sketch Picture, you can browse to find a suitable picture. This is just a picture of an apple I've downloaded from the internet. So I'm going to resize it until I get a value that I'm happy with, and over in the browser you can see as I resize the image in the graphics window, the value changes in the browser. So it's not critical for this exercise, so simply drag it so it's positioned approximately on the origin, and when you're happy with the size and location of the apple, press the green tick over here to close the sketch picture. Now the sketch itself is still active, and if you ever want to reactivate the picture, simply double click it, and you can see now the sketch picture is activated again. So while I have it reactivated, I'm going to select the transparency, full image, and slide the transparency up to about 3/4, just so it's not going to overpower me. Now I'm going to begin a sketch of a line starting at the origin and going not quite to the top of the apple. I'll then move over to a spline and use 3 points on the spline. The first point is going to begin at the top of that line. Second point will end up at the right hand extremity of the apple, and the third point, the base of the line. When you're happy with that, right click and select to place the spline. So if we click the spline now, we can manipulate the curve in two different ways. We can drag the diamond of the drag handle to steer and change the direction of the spline, and we can select the tip arrowhead to give us more or less of the length of the spline. So take a few moments to drag the handle to steer the spline and drag the arrow to give yourself either more or less to work with. So like I said earlier, it's not an exact science. If you get it reasonably okay, it'll work. Now I'm actually going to just drag this point up a little too and drag that back down a bit, and I'm much happier with that. So when you're happy with that, you can call up the revolved boss base feature. So features, revolved boss base, and select this vertical line as the axis of revolution. And there you have it. In a matter of seconds we have the solid of the apple itself. So now let's worry about the stem, the stalk. We're going to start off by hitting reference geometry plane, and I want to use the top plane as a reference. And I want to position that plane somewhere just below the top surface of the apple, so it's just within the solid itself. So 90 and 100. In fact, I'm going to split the difference in my case and change that to 95. You may have to put in a different value depending on where you put the plane. So the reason I changed that to 95 is this. I can see that plane cuts through the apple, but it reappears there. That's what I want to avoid. I want the plane to cut the solid everywhere. So this is actually going to be a problem for me. So let's just put that back down to 90. And sure enough, now you can see the plane cuts through the entirety of the apple. So we'll press the green tick to approve the creation of that plane, and I want to start a new sketch on that plane. So the sketch is just going to be a circle. Snap it onto the origin and draw a circle. In my case, I'm just going to dimension that to be approximately 5 mm in diameter. So what I'll do then is I need some other component to loft this to. I want to make a lofted boss base to make the stalk. So in order to do that, I will need another plane on which to place it. So I'm going to begin here with a center line on this plane 1, hit the space bar, look 90 degrees to it, and I'm going to draw an axis somewhere over here. And press the escape and close the sketch icon. And now what I'm going to do is go to Features, Reference Geometry, Plane. The first reference will be the existing plane 1. The second reference will be that newly created line. What that will do is put a plane hinged along that line, but at an angle to that plane. So I'm going to set the angle to approximately 40 degrees. And see how that looks. It's a little steep, so I'm going to set it maybe to 20 degrees, and I'm happy with that. So press the green tick to approve it, and I have a plane at an angle which I can now draw a little stalk on. So for neatness, I'm going to right click this plane and hide it. I'm actually going to right click that sketch and hide it, and I'm going to begin a sketch of a circle on this plane. So press the space bar, normal 2. And I'm going to come down a little bit below center. I don't want to put it directly above that stalk, so down here a little and draw a stalk a little smaller. The last time I set a diameter of 5 mil, this time maybe 3.5. And close that. So if I orientate in space, you can see where I've drawn it. I've drawn the original stalk there, but the end point of the new stalk is over here. So I'm going to hide that plane, right click it, hit hide, and we're going to do a lofted boss base feature. So go to Features, Lofted Boss Base, and select both circles. Now that doesn't look that good at the moment because it's just a straight loft, but before I approve the loft, I can move over and change the start-end constraints. Change the start constraint to normal to profile, and change the end constraint to normal to profile. Now it still doesn't look that good because it's a little bit too skewed, so I can very easily change that by expanding the arrow beside loft 1 and right clicking the sketch. In my case it was sketch 7, right click, edit sketch, hit the space bar, look normal to it, and I'm going to drag that up a little. Now if you wanted, you could of course dimension that and precisely locate it. There we have it. I also don't like the fact that the stem is a little bit narrow in the center. So what I'm actually going to do is right click the base sketch, edit it, and instead of 5 mil diameter, let's just make that double the size, 10 mil diameter, by double clicking the dimension and press the tick to approve it, and it looks a little more realistic now. To make this rounded at the top, you could either fillet it, or what I will do is go to Insert, Features, Dome, click the top surface, and instead of putting in a value, I'm going to select Elliptical Dome, and it's a little bit too high obviously, so I'm going to change that to a smaller value. For instance, 3 mil, I'll try 2 mil, 2 mil looks okay, and press the green tick to approve. So the last thing I did, just to finish this off, was to apply, believe it or not, a matte plastic. They don't actually have a material appearance for Apple. So I applied a medium or a low gloss plastic and red, drag and drop it onto the solid. It tries to turn everything red, but I just want to move across and just turn the revolve feature red. I'll then move down until I find organic, wood, and find a suitable wood. I'm going to bring polished mahogany onto the loft, and also polished mahogany onto the dome. And there you have it. So as I said, it's not an exact science. There's no precise measurements for the stalk. You can adjust them and tweak them and change the diameters and the angles of the planes as you see fit, but that's the procedure and the method involved in creating this apple. So thanks for watching. This is the same apple after it has been rendered. In this apple I just did something different. I made the base sketch smaller than the top sketch, so I got a different style or a different appearance of stalk, but it's still the same apple and same features after being applied. If you want to learn more about SolidWorks, you can access our GMIT Letterfrack YouTube channel, where you'll find a whole array of SolidWorks video tutorials covering a wide range of features.